Hi everyone. Today we're going to be doing lesson 11.2, which is all about recording sales transactions using a general journal. So by the end of this lesson, you will be able to account for sales returns and allowances, post the general journal to the accounts receivable ledger and general ledger, and then record a correcting entry to the accounts receivable ledger. So, just like in the last section where we talked about us returning things that we've previously purchased, we are also, as someone who is selling merchandise, going to be accepting returns from our customers. So, a sales return is a credit allowed to a customer for the sales price of returned merchandise, resulting in a decrease in the accounts receivable of the merchandising business. A sales allowance is a credit allowed to a customer for part of the sales price of merchandise that is not returned, resulting in a decrease in the accounts receivable of the merchandising business. And a credit memorandum is similar to the debit memorandum, but it's a form prepared by the vendor showing the amount deducted for returns and allowances. And in this case, the vendor would be us. This is a look at the credit memorandum that we've prepared. It looks very similar to the debit memorandum in that it lists out each item that's being returned and the amounts. So sales returns and allowances has a debit normal balance. So again, this is a new account that we didn't need previously with our when we were accounting for a service business because there was no merchandise to return. So we need to have a separate account. And again, it has a debit normal balance that is going to decrease the value of sales. And just like previously with purchases, returns, and allowances, we want to have a separate account for our sales returns and allowances to make sure that we can keep track of how much merchandise is being returned to us. So, an example of the transaction granted credit to Lake Automotive for merchandise returned. So, we are going to first start with the date. Sales returns and allowances is going to be debited. And we're going to put our source document credit memorandum. We're debiting for $65.85. However, we also collected sales tax on this. When that merchandise is returned, we also are going to return the sales tax because we're not going to have to pay that tax to the government. So sales tax payable will be debited, so $395. And then accounts receivable Lake Automotive is going to be credited. And remember, we need to put the slash in between the two accounts because, again, they're two separate accounts. And because we have two separate accounts, we need to put the diagonal line in the post reference column. All right, from here, we can post from the general journal to the accounts receivable ledger. So we're looking for any times we see accounts receivable. So here's accounts receivable Lake Automotive. So we are going to put the date, general journal page 12. We are going to credit the total amount, so $69.80. And then debit and a credit means we subtract, so we update the balance and then put the customer number to the right of the slash. And then we can go and we can post individually to the general ledger. Here's another transaction that we might see that would be posted in the general journal. And this would be if there is an error that occurs, this is how you would fix it. So it says, found a sale on account to Skinner College was incorrectly charged to the account of Wells Apartments. So what you need to do if this is the case, so a sale on account was previously credited to Skinner College. So we need to debit that to negate it, to make it go away. And we're going to credit Wells Apartments because that's what should have been credited in the first place. So when we do that, we're going to write the date. We're going to debit Skinner College to negate what we did incorrectly, put the source document M44, debiting 334. Then we're going to credit Wells Apartments because that should have been credited in the first place. And then from there, we're going to post to the accounts receivable ledger. So Skinner College and Wells Apartments from page G12, we're going to debit 334 and credit 334, update the balances, and then put the account numbers or the customer numbers in the post reference.